Guys, we are ready to start. Right now I have 5 pounds of potatoes cut in half and peeled, of course, in my pot with water, and I added half a tablespoon of salt. I'm going to cook this on the stove at medium-high heat for 40 minutes or until they're nice and tender. After 40 minutes, we're going to check with our fork just to make sure it goes in nicely. You can break it apart. We are ready to drain the water. Our potatoes are nicely drained. Now we're ready to add 2 tablespoons of butter, 1/4 cup of half and half. You can use heavy cream or regular milk. We're going to start to mash it together. And as you can see, it is still dry, so we're going to add more butter and more half and half. So what you can do, you can just mash it, and if it needs more half and half, you add a little bit more. If it needs more butter, you add a little bit more. But I added also 2 more tablespoons of butter, and I'm adding cheddar cheese. I love cheddar cheese. It makes the mashed potatoes super creamy and delicious and cheesy. Let's mash, mash, mash. Now this is the time that you can taste the potatoes to see if it needs more salt or not. If it doesn't, look how smooth it looks. We're ready to set this aside. And now let's concentrate on our ground beef. And let me just say that I was cooking the ground beef while the potatoes were boiling and cooking. 2 tablespoons of avocado oil into my pan. And now I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of chopped red onions and 1 tablespoon of chopped red and orange bell peppers. We're cooking this at medium-high heat. Now mix very well. We're going to let this cook for about 3 minutes until the vegetables are nice and tender. You can see it has some nice color in it. And now we're ready to add 1 pound of ground beef. We're going to start breaking this apart. You can add ground turkey or ground chicken if you want. We're going to mix and let this cook for about 15 minutes on medium-high heat. After 15 minutes, I like to drain the excess oil that the ground beef usually has and releases. And now we're ready to add our seasoning or rest of the ingredients. So we're going to start with 1 large carrot, nicely grated. Just to add more vegetables, since I have kids, I like to add hidden vegetables into my meals. I'm also going to add half a cup of frozen corn and 1 cup of tomato sauce, as well as a little bit of water just to loosen up a little bit of sauce. Now we're going to mix. Now we're ready to season with 2 to 3 teaspoons of salt or to taste, half a teaspoon of ground black pepper, 2 teaspoons of paprika powder, half a teaspoon of dry parsley, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, and half a teaspoon of oregano. Of course, you can mix this and you can taste it to see if it's good to your liking and adjust the seasoning to your taste. We're going to mix well. And now I'm going to add fresh spinach. We're going to mix well. You can also add kale if you have kale at home. We're going to cover this up and let it cook for 10 minutes on medium-high heat. After the 10 minutes, our delicious ground beef mixture is done and we're ready to make the delicious Dominican shepherd's pie or pastelon de papa. In my baking dish, I'm going to add a layer of the mashed potatoes, and I'm using half of the mashed potatoes for our first layer. Now we're making sure everything is well and smooth. And now we're going to add the ground beef mixture, everything. We're going to add the whole entire thing on top of our mashed potatoes. Just spreading it out. We're going to add mozzarella cheese on top, of course. Cheesy goodness. And our last layer of mashed potatoes on top of that. I'm going to smooth it out. And we're going to add cheddar cheese on top. And basically that's it. We're going to bake this in the oven at 350 degrees for about 10 minutes or until it's nice and bubbly and hot. How delicious does this Dominican shepherd's pie look? So good, pastelon de papa. On top, I'm just adding a little bit of dried parsley and you're ready to serve and enjoy with your family.